and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 473 at scavengerlife.com.
This week, we officially subscribed to buy, I don't know what you call it, purchase life insurance. 20-year life insurance.
That makes me feel old.
That means we are officially adults.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, actually, so that means that we are covered till I'm 67. And yeah, the past several years we've been, I don't know, I never really thought about any of this stuff about insurance, but because we have been amassing property and, so now we spend about $5,000 every year now on all kinds of insurance.
Yep.
Insurance, fire insurance, and all kinds of insurance that covers all of our property. We have liability. We have like an umbrella policy for our house.
Auto.
Life. Health insurance. And yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Well, look, honestly,
so really anything can go wrong and we're okay.
Yeah. I never thought I would think about those things, but honestly, with the pandemic too, just reading stories, I'm like, if something did happen to one of us, it would really suck on so many levels.
I guess I didn't think about the COVID. I was just thinking more, I've gotten to the point in my life where, if something were to happen to you or something happened to something that makes us money or one of our properties, I don't want to have to start over again.
It would be hard.
I think I'm realizing I don't have a whole lot more startovers.
Right.
I mean, I don't see myself old by any means, but just,
Well, we've done a lot to get where we are, so it's sort of let's make sure we're being smart about it. I mean, it's expensive, like you said. It's I understand why a lot of people are like, I don't want to buy that stuff, But,
and I remember, I don't know if it's something my dad told me. It sounds like it'd be something he'd tell me, but I'm sure it's something that people talk about, where in your teens, you don't have no idea what you're doing. And that's fine, zero idea.
That's correct.
In your 20s, you're supposed to be trying things out, exploring.
Yeah.
And that by your 30s, whatever you're doing in your 30s is basically what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's changed, but sure.
But,
I get it.
I don't necessarily agree with that because I'm all about people starting over, that's all possible. But, I mean, I can kind of see that,
Well, how I see it, honestly, is it can be where you're starting to build stuff in your 20s, which we were because we were saving money and thinking about that in our 20s. But in your 30s, you can start building towards what you want to be doing. I mean, it doesn't have to be a traditional office job career, as we all are hearing this, understanding that. But, it can help you in the next 10 years. If you start when you're 27 to 30, we bought our first house when I was 29. Yeah. So that helped propel us to do what we want to do. It's not like we waited till now.
I was 35 years old.
You're 35, yeah. Yep. You oldie.
When we first bought
oldie.
the first house.
That's fine. I know people that are much older than that don't own anything.
Oh, I don't,
and it doesn't have to be that way. But I think what we're always saying is, and this is what I'm always saying to people I'm friends with or people I'm related to, where I'm like, if you want something, because if you don't want to own a house, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do that. But if you want to own property or own a business or have your own business, you have to start. And it's great to start early. And not everybody does, but it really helps.
Right. I mean, first, there is some new thinking that this whole idea, especially in the United States, of homeownership being that's what you got to do. Yes. That people are like, actually, you don't really need to buy a house.
No, you don't.
It's actually might be cheaper to rent.
Depends on where you are.
And then you don't have to cover all the expenses.
Insurance.
So, yeah.
Right.
Things like that.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I mean, so why are we talking about this? It's kind of as scavengers, I think a lot of people hearing this are maybe more of the less career-oriented like people.
Yeah.
I just learned in my life I was not going to be a career guy.
Yeah.
It's just, I realized, I mean, again, my 20s were trying lots of things out,
sure.
doing lots of things. And then even into my 30s, I was doing that too.
Yeah.
I think if I had not have met you,
Yeah.
I would probably still be in my trying things out phase, you know.
Maybe.
That's just kind of how my mentality was.
Right.
You know, and that as scavengers, you know, a lot of us are coming to this world of like, wow, I can sell this stuff around me and just build a life that's pretty non-traditional. And I guess I just brought up the insurance, that you can, though, mix the kind of like non-traditional scavenging lifestyle with the more kind of traditional getting insurance to make sure you're safe, you know, like, because I think I don't hear it as much anymore, I guess, because now everybody knows about the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah.
But before the Affordable Care Act, I know a lot of people would come to us and would be like, I love the idea of finding stuff and selling it. I can see how I can do that, or I'm doing it now. But what do you do about
insurance?
Health insurance? Because that's always tied to having a job. And before, it was pretty tough to get good health insurance that was affordable, that was okay if you had pre-existing conditions. Blah,
right,
blah,
of
blah.
course.
And
yeah, that was hard.
That's a kind of cool thing about the Affordable Care Act. It's kind of like, it's kind of taken that out of the equation, because now everybody knows, like, oh yeah, I'm covered. I know people are going to argue about how it's still expensive for them. That's fine. But trust me, it was worse before this thing happened.
But, I mean, we didn't have health insurance for 12 years or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But, you know, and it is kind of nice feeling, and I guess it's worth the $5,000 we pay a year just to know, that anything can happen.
Well, and
we won't have to start over from scratch.
Yeah, you would get some help. And we actually switched insurance companies. We were having a really good conversation about this on the forum, because Retro Treasures WV was saying, I was with this same insurance company since I was like a teenager, because they helped me out with an accident, and a friend's mom was like the insurance agent. And then he's probably in his early 40s, late 30s. And he's like, I checked rates and I realized that I was paying like more than double what I should be paying. So that's actually another reason why we bring it up, because we switched insurers. It wasn't less, but we liked the relationship we had better with the other people.
Agent, right?
With the different agent. We didn't like the agent we were working with the time before that, and then this time. And so we switched again.
Right, because one of the things we like, or the hope was, being in a small town, is that we could have more direct relationships with
an agent. You go to their
people
office.
We interact with, whether it be my dentist, my doctor, it doesn't necessarily always happen to be true, even in a small town, just because the way American society is changing. But for our insurance agent, I like the guy we have now. He gave us a much better deal. Yeah,
those relationships are really important, because you need, with everything you just mentioned, plus like a banker, like you need to be able to sit down with them and have them listen to you and hear you and understand what you need. Because anytime we would do that with the other agents, whether it's a banker, whether it's an insurance agent, whether it's a real estate agent, anytime we had that feeling where we're like, oh, they didn't hear a word we were saying, you need to switch.
Well, sometimes too, specifically with insurance, a lot of times they're the people that sign you up.
Right.
And they don't really know a whole lot.
Yeah, they're like, we don't really know.
They're kind of just like checking out the website like we could, and kind of, and that's a problem with a lot of having, computers and all that stuff have really kind of taken out the person to person kind of thing. But
so that's my advice for this part. I don't know if that's what your intention was on this part of the podcast, but I feel every time that I've been like, well, we got a mortgage from this person, but they don't really understand what we're doing, and the rate was okay. And then we switched and we were like, oh, this is like a totally different experience with like someone who understands what you're doing and is trying to help you because they understand, you know, your situation.
Well, I mean, I guess ultimately what I wanted to get to in this world of scavenging in our scavenger life is, you know, like we've gotten to where we're making enough money to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. We own our time. We always talk about that. We wake up without alarm clocks. Yeah. Well, actually, I still do sometimes.
My cat literally woke me up yesterday at 6 a.m., so that was an alarm clock.
And then it gets just to be like, well, what's the point of any of this stuff? Yeah. And for me, it's about like relationships. Exactly what we're talking about. Like
that's a good point.
We talk about this.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm getting to that age where like, okay, like what is all this for?
Yeah.
Is it just for just making a big pile of money? I mean, our pile of money is not that big, but it's okay. You know? But am I going to be happier if it's bigger? Well, yeah. Okay. So,
okay. These questions.
It's not going to solve all the problems. I'm definitely not one of those people that thinks that money doesn't buy happiness. It definitely helps. But the thing that we talk about though is relationships, you know, and that's really what we're trying to work on right now. Especially being that we've chosen to be in this small town, putting a lot of time into our town, volunteering. You know, it's nice. The cool thing about small towns is that you can get pretty deeply involved and have a lot of effect. Yeah. Over
that's why we stayed here,
and over what happens in that small town. It's really kind of ridiculous how easy it is to have influence on a small community.
Well, and influence in not a bad way, but in a way where you're like, you know, you can do this one time. It seems, you know, coming from a city, it can seem like such a tiny thing, and it sends ripples through. Right. And that actually happened to us when we first moved here. I like wrote a letter to the editor or something, and people actually came up to me at the bank and they were like, "Good letter, that was great." And you're like, "What?"
But, you know, we've decided that this is, I mean, who knows what will happen in the future, but we've decided that this is where we want to be. Like, this is our place. Yeah. And so we're putting a lot of time into the relationships we build here because this is what is going to sustain me when I'm older. And to me, that's really important. You know? It's kind of like, it's not, I guess it's kind of like scavenging. I'm like scavenging friendships. I'm scavenging. I'm like building a little bit every day, just like we all do in our eBay business, where you're listing just a little bit every day, and that business grows. I mean, I've said it before. It's always confusing to me. I feel like the way a lot of Americans have done it, where they get a job in wherever, Baltimore or something, and they work there for 30 years. Yeah. And then when it's time to retire,
they leave.
They move to, you know, Tampa, Florida or something when they're older, and they don't know anybody there. And I don't know. It's just strange to me why you would leave a place that you would hope have built a lot of roots, you know.
The weather.
True, right. The weather. I mean, whatever. I mean, people, you know, it's not good or bad. It's just when I think about it, my thinking is not like, we're here, we're going to make as much money as we can, and then I want to go move to the beach where I don't know anybody. Yeah. You know? I want to be here, so then when I'm like 70, I know everybody. I can pick up the phone and figure anything out I need, you know? Yep. Kind of like...
I hope that's how it is.
Kind of like how we talked about, you know, we can drive down a street. Yep. I see our banker. Yep. Our dentist. Yep.
The real estate agent.
Real estate agent, you know, I can pick up the phone like I've got our banker on text so I can ask him questions.
Yep,
you know.
It's great.
If a piece of real estate comes up, I can just ask about it.
I mean, so it is things like, because the issue is and has been when you don't have those relationships and people are just like not interested in having those relationships, it's hard to get things done. Yeah. You know, you're just sort of like, I'm looking for this person. I'm not quite sure if this is the right person. They won't get back to me. You know, it's things like that. And you're like, if you have solid people, it's much more efficient in doing things that you want to do.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be in a small town. It could just be, I mean, like when I lived in New York, anyone that is there knows it's kind of like a bunch of small towns all crammed together. So you can completely have a very connected relationship with the community in a big urban area.
Yeah.
You know, it's just about really taking time to like get to know people. And so building relationships is important to us because that's what's going to last, you know, after
the money's gone.
After all is said and done, right?
After the zombie apocalypse.
I mean, also, just to wrap this part of it up, I mean, my relationship with my significant other.
That's me.
Is also very important too, you know?
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, I will talk about my own family. I remember my parents, when they were basically my age, their relationship was really bad.
Yeah.
And I never saw them try to make that relationship better. And, you know, that's unfortunate, you know.
And that's why anytime we have the tiniest issue possible, Jay's like, we are going to work this out right now. There is no walking away mad. There's no going to bed mad.
That's right.
It must get worked out within 1 hour.
I don't like having that feeling.
45 minutes.
I mean, do you see there a problem with that?
Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk about it.
I just want to be mad. Okay.
Yeah. But
well, there you go.
I get over it pretty fast.
It sounds like we have some things to talk about after this.
Aww.
I'm just kidding. Okay, eBay specifically. After our last episode, I was talking, you know, the way I talk about it is like that there's junk everywhere. I'm like, there's trash everywhere. There's stuff that nobody wants, you know.
It's trash that I want, though.
Especially in the United States of America, lots of abundance, lots of waste. And someone on YouTube actually says, well, in the antique world, a word that people had said for a long time that he doesn't hear as much anymore. He says those items are called sleepers.
Yeah, it's a good term.
So, like, if you go into a thrift store or an auction and there's an item that everyone is ignoring,
right? It's
a sleeper because you're the one that knows it's valuable.
That could be valuable. Oh, that's a something that no one else knows. That's a sleeper. That's great.
So, yeah, I mean, but I still do think, though, that there's a lot of stuff, like a lot of people who are hearing this who shop at yard sales. You are oftentimes getting the stuff before it goes into the dump.
Right.
A big hole in the ground.
Right.
You know, I know some people take stuff, you know, they have a yard sale and then they go donate it. Very oftentimes they just throw it away. Mm-hmm. And even if they donate it, sometimes it still goes to the dump too. So I really do believe that, you know, you're finding stuff right before it gets thrown away.
Yep.
You know?
Hey, if you're going to the Goodwill bins, that's what you're doing too. Not in a bad way. Look, I find stuff on the side of the road. As we all know, sometimes I eat it because it's a road burger. I swear to God, everyone, like, people bring that up almost every time.
I think there are some people that they'll just be in their day and they'll just think about it as
like, she ate a hamburger off the side of the road.
It was in a bag, people.
It was in a bag. It was still hot. That's how fresh this thing was.
Okay. You'll never live that down, but that's fine. I saw you eat it right in front of me. Even I was a little shocked. But I was like, okay.
All right, at least one of us is eating it.
It probably won't
It's not going away.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot to kill a person. There are so eBay instituted this new fee structure. If you sell on eBay and you sell, you know, have a big enough store, you have subscriptions. And each subscription, it's like starter, basic, premium, anchor.
I don't think there's that many. There's 4. There's 3. You said 4.
Right, but there is a starter.
Oh, there is? Yep. Oh, news to me, people.
Yeah. And, you know, each one comes with a certain amount that you can put up, you know, items that can be put up, and then they charge you extra. Well, eBay now has done this thing where if you sell under certain categories, you can do as many as you want. And for many people hearing this, like, books and collectibles are going to be the ones
especially collectibles.
Interesting. So we were on the It's forum. I was like, so you could just have a store just of books and not pay any subscription fee and
any insertion fee?
I was corrected.
So. You were corrected. So what's the correct answer?
Again, eBay, because they love to make it complicated.
I know.
That only works if you have a premier subscription. So if you have a premier subscription, then you can put in as many books and collectibles and these other categories.
Not just like no store subscription.
Right. Because I was like, well, that's interesting.
Well, that's like, yeah.
So, and so there are some people on the forum who sell mainly books or collectibles or like ephemera and stuff. And they were saying, I could cut down my store subscription from an anchor. I could have a 20,000 item store and only pay for premier subscription.
So is that good forever? That's not just like till October.
As of right now, there's no time limit on it.
Okay, they just changed it.
It seems like it's
forever. Why. Why do they do that? That seems very specific.
Well, when the COVID hit, they, all companies were trying to like help their customers out, and this was eBay's way. They didn't cut anyone any slack by free fees or anything, but they gave free insertion fees
for this.
And after that stopped in July, they were like, well, that's worked so well. We're going to continue free insertion fees, but only for these categories. So I think that was the thinking behind it. To me, though, it's just like I don't know why it has to be that complicated. Just like make all books free, or
I know you're like books,
or I mean, just I don't know. I mean, that's why again, when someone is new to eBay, it's if you don't take time to learn all this stuff, it's just, whatever.
I know a lot of stuff about eBay, but man, I ignore a lot because I just cannot stuff it into my brain. Yeah. I read that forum post and I just was like, I can't, I don't have time to read this. Like my brain
It's like the people that really get into credit card points.
And
travel points.
Yeah.
I, at certain times, have tried to be like, okay, we spend a lot of money on our credit card that we always pay off,
right?
To get points, and right now we just get like the Amazon points, so,
right?
It's fine. But I'm like, what if we could get travel points? We could I see people like taking first class flights to Bangkok and stuff,
right?
And then I'll try and understand how it works. I'm just like, this is so complicated. Like which credit card for which airline, and how do you redeem them?
Oh, and you have to spend on this stuff, and then you have to pay it off within such and such. So you're just like, I can't keep track.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not worth it.
So if you sell books and collectibles, it's now free to insert if you have a certain subscription. For us, it won't work. So we have 8,000 items or so. We do sell collectibles, but we don't have like 6,000 in collectibles.
Yeah,
So
it's just like
we're gonna stick to our anchor store
unless it was like some crazy discount. I'm like, I'm not paying attention.
Yeah, but for those people who can kind of do the math and figure it all out, they'll save.
Why not?
That they could probably save a couple $100 a month.
Yeah, which is awesome.
We got a message. I think it's specifically to us, but I'm sure other people got this as well. Manage payments.
Yes,
it was a message that says your account will be activated for managed payments between August 3rd and August 7th. So that's in like a week.
It's like super soon.
We will notify you again 2 business days in advance of your move and one final time after your account is activated.
My PayPal account's going to be like empty.
And then they said, make sure your bank accounts are all hooked up, which I think they are.
I'm going to have to like move money to PayPal.
Are you?
Well,
no, because you just keep it empty, and then it just pulls from whatever
the bank account
you have linked to it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's good. I mean, it seems positive. I'm going to go into it with a positive feeling about it, in that now, when something sells, eBay is going to take their fees,
like Amazon,
and then they just put it in your bank account, and that is your net profit.
It's like, great. It's so great.
Right. So no more, if I understand correctly, no more monthly bills where, we get this big bill at the end of every month where we have to pay it off for all of our fees. So.
What happens with working capital loans? You just pay it off manually, or
Well,
what's the deal?
that's a good question.
Yeah.
I'm sure PayPal will be telling us, because we still owe some on a working capital loan we got from PayPal. We don't owe a whole lot more, but I'm sure they'll tell us.
Second call.
Yeah.
I know there's like documentation online.
Right.
Because
Maybe
at
we
first
can just-
when managed payments started, they were like penalizing people for it. And you're like, what are we supposed to do here?
I mean, what we could do is just pay it all off.
I know.
We don't owe that much. We could just pay it off and be done.
That's true.
Speaking
I don't
of...
want to do that, but okay.
Speaking of, with this new managed payment, there will be a new loan program.
Right, through eBay, right?
Yeah, and those of you who don't know about this, so if you sell on eBay, because PayPal had been the financing arm, you were able to get these loans. I mean, they're not really loans. It's like a chunk of
like an
money.
advance.
And then they charge you one fee. It's not a like a 5% or anything. It's just like one obvious fee to borrow that kind of money, and they base it off of how much they can see that you make off of PayPal, and they don't off of eBay, and they don't ping your credit card or your credit or anything.
Well, the beautiful thing about it was if you were like, hey, we need to buy this thing, it costs a chunk of money, you could borrow this money. Look, if you go to the bank and try to borrow money, it's a process. It is a long process. Right. And sometimes the bank will be like asking for collateral and asking for all these paperwork.
And there's all these fees. Like, that's how we built the building, the storage building behind our houses. We took out a working capital.
Yeah.
And it was great.
And we got it in 5 minutes.
Right. And it's almost instantaneous.
Amazing.
I mean, it's very dangerous. Be careful.
Yeah, sure.
Don't spend it on vacations and jet skis, people.
Yes. Use it for business.
So because PayPal is now kind of being taken out of the equation, eBay says financing options by eBay seller capitals will be now powered by Lending Point.
Okay.
Sellers can get fast, flexible, transparent, and worry-free financing with no origination or early payback fees. So it's going to be, it sounds like the same thing.
Great.
I don't know, and we'll see how it works. With the working capital, it was nice. It wasn't paid off in any set amount of time. They would just take a percentage of your monthly, or actually your per transaction profit.
Sales.
So it was kind of good. So it means you always would be guaranteed some money to pay for just life, instead of like a set amount every month. So if you have a slow month,
it just gets extended.
Instead of them taking everything, they just take a percentage of the slow month.
Right. And so it would just take longer to pay back. But look, it's obviously a very popular program because people, if they're taking PayPal away and PayPal working capital, eBay clearly heard that people, sellers.
So it'll be interesting. Things. They don't have you can't actually sign up for it. I think it's invite only, and I don't know how to get invited, but I don't know how they're going to do their payback and stuff. So we'll see. That's all. Okay,
moving on.
Facebook.
Oh God, Facebook.
So, Facebook announced they're having these, is it called Facebook stores?
Yeah, it's called stores.
So, there's the marketplace that everyone's been selling on.
Which is like Craigslist.
Right, it's like a Craigslist.
And you know what? I sold a bunch of stuff on Marketplace.
And thank you everyone for encouraging Ryan to do that.
I've been doing... not like amazing, but I've gotten rid of stuff that I'm happy I got rid of.
I mean, it's one of those things where people have been doing it for a while now and have told us, yeah, it's great. I'll find stuff on the side of the street like a grill or something that I can't ship.
Pop it on Facebook.
I'll put it on Facebook and I make a quick, $50.
Which is great.
We finally are doing that. We're selling larger items.
Yep, I just put it on my front porch and I social distance and I'm like, it's great.
Like, I went to the dump because in our town, the trash man doesn't come because it's a rural area. I go to the dump and empty my truck out into a big dumpster, and I saw like a big cooler, like a rolling igloo cooler.
Yeah, this thing was awesome.
It was kind of dirty, but it looked in good shape. In my dump, unfortunately, you're not allowed to grab stuff, but I know the guys there, and as long as I'm not like digging in the trash, I can grab stuff. I brought it home and we sold it for like $10 or something.
We sold it for
how much?
$10.
Okay.
I tried to sell that thing for so long because I was like, this thing's worth at least 40, and people were like, "Can I give you 5?" No, but I'll take 10.
Quick $10. So it's fine. Okay, fine. That's great. How about? But then Facebook announced they're now doing stores, where it sounds like they actually are trying to or thinking of competing directly with eBay and Amazon.
That's what it is.
And so I was like, Ryan, let's do this.
This is
a week goes by. Ryan, let's do this. Another week goes by.
Facebook, I have hated Facebook since the very first day I looked at it, however many years and years ago, right. The first year it existed.
It's like your design and
I hate it so much.
Yeah.
And the way they do things is so complex. If you want to buy an ad or start a store, they're like, okay, well, first of all, you have to make a page. And you're like, okay, I'll make a page. Okay, you can have a page. You can have a business page. Now you have to change that template to be a shop page. Okay, fine, I'll change.
Facebook shop.
No, but it's called stores.
Oh, it's called
That's
stores.
why I'm telling you this, like, nightmare. And so you're like, okay, it's a shop template. Looks like nothing. Okay. Now you need to go into Commerce Manager and do a bunch of, crap there. Don't even know what I did there. Now you need to make a catalog. You have to go to Manage Catalog. What are you talking about, Facebook? Now you have to add an item. Oh, this item's not allowed. Great. What am I even doing here? So here is my
You're
conclusion.
channeling your mom right now.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Here's my conclusion. I think I started a store.
Okay.
I put something up, it got rejected.
Yeah.
What I need to do, and what we talked about doing, was we have InkFrog. InkFrog doesn't do Facebook, which, I wish InkFrog did Facebook. I hope they do it soon. You can open a lightweight Shopify store. I think it's $9 a month. I think Shopify started this level for Facebook.
Right.
So you open a Shopify store, say, hey, InkFrog, this is my Shopify store. Put everything in there. Sync it.
Right.
Okay, hey, Facebook, this is my Shopify store. So it's like layers upon layers.
So the idea is we put the work into putting everything up on eBay. So we have 8,000 items there. We have a subscription to InkFrog, which is like a third-party syncing device lister thing. And so all of our eBay items are in InkFrog. InkFrog connects to Shopify. Shopify connects to Facebook. So the thinking is, can we get all 8,000 of our eBay items onto a Facebook store?
Right.
We'll see. That's the experience. So our question to anyone out there is, have you started one of these Facebook stores? Not the marketplace.
Not marketplace, not Craigslist.
And you were saying when you found some stores that they were mainly just like Chinese sellers, like
maybe it's because I was only looking in a certain category. I need to look in like a vintage category. I just felt like it was like, when you go into like Google Shopping and you're like USB stick, and then like you look on Google Shopping and you're like, what is this? This is just all drop shippers from China. That's what it looked like on Facebook. So I'm like, what's the point?
And so supposedly from the store, people can buy from anywhere and we ship it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
And what's the payment?
I haven't even figured that part out yet. Okay. I think it is like all these other services where you're like, here's my bank account. So just take your fee, Facebook, and then move my profit over. I don't know how to buy postage. I don't know any of that.
And I wonder too, and this is why I'm always like, hey, great.
This is why I love eBay.
Competitors, fine. It's just like, and then do they have a system if a buyer has a problem in customer service?
Returns, item not as described? Yeah, I have no idea.
How are they going to
So, in conclusion, because I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Fine.
I would love to hear from other people.
Right.
Please.
eBay stores. Facebook stores.
Facebook stores. What's your experience? Were you as frustrated as I am?
Store. Create a Facebook shop. Store. It says shop, but then it says store.
That's exactly what
Yep. That's weird.
What is it?
Yeah, the store application.
If you're in the UK, it's a shop.
Yep.
Oy.
There's a guru that will tell you how to do it step by step.
Oh, guru.
How much does this cost?
Look, I should watch that.
Yeah. How much do they want to charge me?
Yeah. Oh, and I got a message from Facebook too that they were like, we're waiving all like store sales fees for the next couple months, probably to get people onto stores. So that's great. I just have to like.
Does it cost?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, look, I can't.
Okay.
It's just too much information.
Okay. Next thing. This is not a Facebook podcast. Our numbers for the week on eBay.com. We sold 52 items for $1,472. 51 cents, not including shipping.
You always gotta say it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I find some people share their numbers and their shipping's included. I'm like,
oh, okay, gotcha.
But it's fine. I mean, if that's how they want to do it, that's fine. Okay. Pretty good week, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I do have
good sales.
I mean, we have to acknowledge this is summertime. I mean, we're at the end of July. So we're actually kind of getting into the tail end of summer. This time last year, we were having weeks where we were selling $800.
Yeah, like just low.
I think
low
we had
low.
like a $600 week.
Oh, my God.
Where things were slow.
Yeah.
So this has been actually a good season for us. Things we sold. I mean, things that just made us money. Like we're selling clothes. We sold like
I sold a bunch of clothes.
We sold like 15 clothing items: shoes, belts, shirts.
Swimsuits.
We're totally like not in team clothes right now. Like,
I just have a lot of clothes in inventory.
We're not buying clothes. Clothing isn't interesting, but it's a nice pipeline and it's fine.
Yep.
I'm like, wow, I didn't even know we had that T-shirt. Great, I'll take $15 for it.
Jay's like this. Did you ask me this on the podcast? Do you think T-shirts are getting smaller on the rack? And I'm like, no, we have like 1,000.
Well, we've been
T-shirts.
selling a lot of T-shirts, like 5 a week, and I know
it does feel smaller. It does feel smaller.
Was full.
It does.
So does it? So when you go there, can you tell like what you've been selling?
Yes.
Okay.
You actually can.
Okay.
So what you can do is you can go out there and you can look.
I like to ask you. Okay, but what was satisfying? How about a pair of $30 chopsticks?
That sale, I was just like, number one.
Why would someone buy $30 chopsticks?
Number one, why did I list them for that much? Number two, why did someone buy them? They were an old airline, Northwest Orient.
And they're just
from
like
the 70s.
Wooden, or are they like?
No, they're plastic.
Okay.
But they had the logo. I mean, like
airline. So
airlines.
There are people that collect vintage airline stuff. So that's why.
So you're never gonna find those anywhere else. So somebody either worked for Northwest Orient back then.
So something else, we sold a pair of pillowcases for $75. Vintage pillowcases, and you were, I guess, smart enough. I don't know why you chose this, but you called them Stranger Things.
Because there's an episode of Stranger Things that those pillowcases were in.
You know, has
the
that
first
like
season
70s, or was it 70s? It's like
totally
like early 80s, like orange, brown, white.
It was a sunset.
Right, sunset.
I think we had them when I was little. Like I totally recognized them. And then
real quick, I found those in, people will know these spots in a Goodwill or wherever, where there's like a big bin of just like
garbage.
It's like where a homeless person sleeps.
Basically.
And I dug in there.
They're like
I found
old socks, scarves, lingerie, and like pillowcases.
Like a medical boots.
You're like, what is in this? This is like, I don't even want to touch this stuff.
So I found 2 pillowcases, which we cleaned, and that sold for $75.
Yeah, so they were in an episode of Stranger Things, and I immediately put that in the title. Sometimes eBay does not like it when you put that stuff in the title, but this one seemed to be fine.
And it took a year to sell.
Yeah, it took a while.
We sold we sold a lamp for $120. Like
that was a good sale.
It's like a New Mexico, Southwestern.
It's Southwestern style, Native American design, ceramic hanging pendant lamp.
I probably bought it for $5, sold it for $120.
I've had that same lamp before, so it must have been sold somewhere in like the 90s.
But it's satisfying because it takes up room on a shelf. And
I was so glad to sell that.
We sold these beaded chairs, like, I've got one in my truck where it's like a beaded chair seat.
It's chair seat cover.
You're all sweaty.
It's like a wooden beaded chair seat cover. For some reason, we had 3 of these.
And I bought all 3 for $1 at an auction. It was like where nobody wanted to buy it. And the auctioneer's like, okay.
Take it away for $1.
Take it away for $1. I'm like, me.
Well, so the reason why... Me. So the reason why we knew that those were worth money is because we bought them before for your truck, because you have one in your truck. Mm-hmm. And we're like, these things cost like $40 each. So I sold 2 for $50, which, fine.
To take it out the door. And then final thing that was satisfying was a New York Jets bumper sticker for $15.
Bumper sticker. It's
like a lot of money for a bumper sticker.
Well, it's totally from like the early 80s. Mm-hmm. It's been in my ephemera bin for like 5 years. I go in the ephemera bin to pull stuff because ephemera does sell. And I see this freaking bumper sticker every time. And I'm like, who is ever going to buy this thing? Someone from New York City.
Yep.
Obviously a Jets fan.
The Jets.
Thank God.
Scavenger of the week. I bought a box of like wooden objects, like mainly like cooking kind of stuff. And the cool thing that I'm excited about,
utensils,
because I don't know, and butter molds.
I gotta look through those because I actually didn't see any butter molds. Okay, so I hope you weren't lying to me.
I'm not lying to you.
Okay, because butter molds are worth a lot of money, people. Hand carved wooden like German butter molds.
And there's a couple things we'll probably put on the forum because I couldn't figure out. It's like. It's a hand tool with like design wheels on it, and I think it's for butter. Like you
do that, and you have.
I don't know.
Or it's some kind of like German or Swedish like pastry printer thing. Yeah. I'm gonna have to put those on the forum and ask people because I'm just like. No idea what this is. They're very cool.
Yeah, like back in the day when people made their own butter and then they would like
make
shape
little
them
patterns,
into, like little bunny rabbits. So
and put them on a plate, and that was like super fancy.
Keel, customer issues. So we had a guy, and I just say this mainly for anyone who is new to eBay. This is like kind of par for the course, and you just got to be cool with it. Guy buys a denim jacket. Full price, $95.
$95. You're like, love that sale so much.
We get a message immediately. He's like, I actually want a better deal on this. And then
he bought it.
And then I realize he has 0 feedback, and his message isn't even in complete sentences. Just. Yeah.
Well, so it was an offer. Obviously, he hasn't paid for it.
Right.
So he was like, no, he said, this is not the size I wanted, so I want you to give me a better price on it. We're like, that makes no sense.
So the way we deal with that is we just don't do anything, and we'll just let eBay...
Unpaid item case.
And if he wants to cancel it, he can actually do a cancellation, but he probably doesn't know how to do that, so we'll just let the unpaid item happen. It will get canceled. We'll get our item back.
It's just a bummer, because you're like, oh... I love that sale so much, and then it's like, oh, this is not going to happen.
So this one is more for the advanced people out there. How would you deal with this? So we have a vintage, like, 60s, 50s, like ladies' jacket with like a fur collar. It looks like a Mad Men like jacket. Yeah. It's sold for $100. Someone just bought it outright, and you're like, great. And then Ryan's like, uh-oh, the same guy bought this
in February.
Got it, returned it.
Yep.
And then also...
Opened a PayPal case,
and he's kind of crazy. And so we block him, obviously. We get it back.
Like, I never want this guy buying from me again.
We lose money on shipping. Yeah. We get it back. And we realize it's him, and we have a choice. Do we cancel? Do we send it to him? We sent him a message.
He opened a new user account to buy this. Right. That's why he's not blocked.
And we sent him a message just putting it out there. We know you bought this a year ago. Are you sure you want this jacket? And he says, yes, I bought it for my wife. So we sent it. We're just going to do...
I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? It's $100 sale.
It's going to be $100 gamble, and wait till next week. Let's see if this guy gets it and finds some reason to send it back. I don't understand.
Like, how many times do I have to block you, dude?
I just don't understand, the obsession people have over.
So we had a choice. I could have canceled that sale. Right. I could have been like, I'm not selling to you.
Right.
I am giving you a refund. I am not dealing with you.
Right.
But he paid outright. Like, he just bought this.
Yeah.
It's a very particular jacket that's had no bites for years.
Right.
And I was like, I bet it's the same guy.
Yeah.
Even though he has zero feedback. I looked up his name and his address, obviously. I was like, of course it's the same guy.
Right. And, it's for his wife. It's probably,
I don't know.
It's probably for him. That's fine.
I don't care.
Just wear it.
Just don't open up PayPal keys on me. What? You crazy person.
We'll see. So
next week we're gonna be like, customer issues. Remember that fur coat?
He says he didn't like it.
He did. He said it's not as. He said
well,
I have not received.
What is it? Fool me once, shame on you.
Fool me twice, shame on me.
Shame on me. So we actually are going to this eyes wide open. But
exactly.
I want the $100. Things we learned in the forum.
So many things.
There are a couple people. They were on the forum, but they email us. We get this from time to time where people just email us like, I just found your podcast.
Yeah.
And they're probably like, holy moly, there's like 400 episodes.
I'm like that.
Of just people, they're just talking about their lives. So on eBay. And so, and people are just like, and then they tell us their stories. And it's really interesting. 2 people did that this week. And the story's always the same in a good way. Something happened that wasn't good.
Right.
And they turned to eBay to sell because that fit their lifestyle at the time because of illness, sickness, bankruptcy, divorce, something.
Moving to a new place, losing a job.
They just, on their own very often, or sometimes because they found podcasts or people like us, they just committed and they enlisted and they worked overtime. And the story's always like, and things are great now.
Yeah, like now I do this full time. Yeah.
And that's why, to me, it's like, there's no secret to any of this.
Yeah.
Like, no one needs to pay us money to give you tricks or tips, and no guru can flip a switch for you. It's just go out, get some cool stuff for cheap, and list it. And list a lot of it.
Yeah.
Not 50 things, like 500 things. And money will come.
And look, it's not easy. I mean, I can explain the process to you, and you can say, "Oh, that's it."
Right.
Yeah, but do that 10,000 times.
Yeah.
Do it every day. Do it every week.
Right.
It's hard. Right. Look, I don't have a helper right now. Like, I'm still waiting to have this helper come on with us, maybe possibly, and. Every day I'm like, I gotta do 10 things. Do you think 10 things happened yesterday or the day before or the day before? No, they didn't. But I did 20 things a couple days ago. Right. So, so I get it. That's the hard work. Yeah. It's not magic.
Right.
It's just hard work.
And shipping and storing and
messaging people and dealing with people.
But most times when those emails come to us, I guess they're doing it because they're proud of themselves.
Yeah.
As they should be, because they're basically telling us it was hard. I came through the other side, and now I'm living my life, and it feels good. And I know where the spots are, I know where to go to get a reliable source of stuff. And it's great.
It is.
I love hearing that. And then someone on the forum was talking about, we call them death piles.
Right.
That's just a term we came up with because before we had exterior storage.
Yeah.
We had a lot of stuff in our house, piles of stuff that would be there for months because we didn't want to actually list it, but we didn't want to throw it away.
It just sits there.
They suck the energy out of my soul. I call them death piles. There's kind of this kind of people. They're not death piles. They're life piles.
Look,
they actually call
that's fine.
And so somebody said is I don't necessarily see death piles as bad because I can tap that source when I need it.
Yes, me too.
My answer is always I get it. We have stuff in our storage that's not up on eBay. It's good to have stuff in the queue.
You just have to want to get to it.
But it's not bad to have a surplus of items is ready to go, but it's a slippery slope between items that are ready to be put on and just an ever-growing pile of stuff.
Yep.
And only you can be honest with yourself about what that pile actually is.
Like, there have been things where I'm like, I have been staring at this for 6 months. You need to make a decision or else it's just going to sit there forever.
Right.
And you have to say yes or no or throw it away or...
Because I truly believe is it did work, because it was true for us, that those piles can slow you down.
Yeah.
Hurt your efficiency, hurt your like way of life and your quality of life. So, I mean, definitely have a surplus of stuff, but if you're just really love to buy and you're like, oh, I'm just buying stuff,
you got to be careful.
I'm gonna list one day.
No,
we've talked to those people that are like, I've been buying for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm realizing I'm never going to sell this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the questions or comments that people sent in this week.
We have calls this week. Yay. You can call our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. Or you can email us an audio file. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com.
Hey, Jay and Ryan, I got a story to relay here. It's not really a problem or a question. I just thought I'd pass it along. Probably about 8 years ago, I saw a blog by an eBay seller who was selling cardboard toilet paper tubes. So I thought I'd give it a try. I saved up like 25 of them, listed them on eBay, but they didn't sell. And then I noticed other sellers were selling them in larger quantities, so I saved up about 75 of them, updated my listing, and they sold. Didn't make much money, but I thought it was kind of neat to repurpose something, and I got it for free. So shortly after that, we had a birthday party at our house for our daughter, and my mother and my mother-in-law were there. And the topic of eBay came up, and I mentioned I was selling these cardboard toilet paper tubes, and they thought that was funny and interesting, so we talked about it. And sometime later, I stopped by my mother's house. She lives a couple blocks away, and I should say she's going to turn 95 here in a couple of months, and this was like 8 years ago, but she gave me a sack with some toilet paper tubes in it, and I thought it was kind of funny, but I took them, and I saved them, and then she also, like once or twice a week, she goes to a restaurant in our small town with some friends to have coffee or something, and she told her friends I was selling cardboard toilet paper tubes on eBay. And, they had a laugh about it. But there's one old couple in the group. The husband, he must now be around 90. He's getting up there. But he thought that was neat. So he started saving them. And he would give the tubes to my mother, and she'd give them to me. And then there was one other person in their group. I don't remember who it was, but that also started saving these tubes. So somewhere around this time, we stopped and visited with my mother-in-law. And she saves boxes that she gets in the mail and gives them to me. And she went to give me the boxes, and you'll never guess what was in the boxes. So she had started saving the toilet paper tubes too. So it didn't take me too long before I could save up about 200 tubes, and I would list them on eBay. And about the time I got another 200, one would sell. And so I was turning these things over. Wasn't making much money on them, but it was kind of funny. And then at some point, the market for these things just fell out of bed, and you couldn't give them away. And I looked, and there were quite a few people selling them. So, that's just what happens. But I thought it was funny. But I'd also comment. I was also saving cardboard paper towel tubes, the longer ones, and they were actually more valuable and brought a higher price than the toilet paper tubes. I had one woman message me through eBay. I have a full-time job, and I was at work one day, and I got the message from her, and she was in a panic. She wanted me to overnight like 15 or 20 of these paper towel tubes from my house in Illinois to a civic center in Florida. I don't know what was going on there, and I'll let you guess how much that would cost. So I looked, but I couldn't get home and get them to FedEx or UPS or anyone in time, so I had to tell her to forget it, but that was kind of funny.
I love that story. I love that there is a market for toilet paper tubes, and that the market could drop out because so many tubes are getting sold.
The market on that drop.
But I also love, that age group and people who are in their 90s now, they probably grew up in the Depression, so they were probably kind of excited to hear that like, some younger person was selling these and that they could...
Yeah, it's not just garbage.
Yeah, that they could sell them.
I mean, the only thing I could guess, I don't know why someone would overnight them. I mean, that sounds insane. But is to use them for crafts, like little kids' crafts. If you're like, I need 100 of these because we need to like build a little castle out of them.
Right. Or if someone's doing like if it's at a convention and their designer is like, we need tubes to like build something.
Yeah, I mean that. I can only think that it is sort of like a building material or craft material. Yeah. I've heard of that before for like egg cartons and stuff like that.
But the part of the story that I think is interesting is that, older people especially hear your story and get excited and they want to help you out. I've heard the stories where people get a lot of clothes, like the mother-in-law goes out and is always buying used clothes to give to the son to sell on eBay, and he's like, this stuff I can't, you don't want to kind of say, I can't really sell this stuff. Like my dad did that once where after he retired, he gave me, or he didn't give them to me, but he handed me a big box of ties.
Oh yeah.
Like all the ties that he'd always collected in his whole life. And he was like, can you sell these for me? And I just looked through them, and I'm just like, these are garbage. I mean, I didn't tell him that.
Cheapest ties.
I was just like, I don't really sell ties, so,
We're like, they have to be skinny madman ties. That's it.
Yeah. Your style is bad. So.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me sad.
Oh.
Sorry, Dad. That's a hilarious story.
Hey, guys. My name's Nathan. Been listening to your podcast for a couple years now, and just wanted to share a bit of my story with you. I listened to your episode where you interviewed Jeremiah, where he was recycling electronics, and I decided to reach out to him and get some advice and copy that business model in my own area here in Georgia. I just started this in June and found a couple of companies that had a bunch of stuff to get rid of, and my garage is now just about full with all kinds of electronics, and shipped out about $1,000 worth of stuff this week. I just wanted to say thanks to you guys for doing the podcast. I would have never known about this idea if I hadn't listened to that episode, so just wanted to let you guys know that there's people out here listening and getting value from the stuff that you guys share, so just keep at it, and thanks for all you do.
So yeah, I love that business model of, I mean, that's like real true scavenging, finding stuff that is pretty much junk. And I guess they're partying this stuff out.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's partying stuff out. And I have noticed, I feel like this is not new, but becoming more popular is like vintage computing and people getting into like old computers, not that old, but, compared to your phone that's in your pocket, I mean, these computers are really slow, but people wanting to use like old game consoles and things like that.
And old Macs, very popular.
Old PCs, old like Tandies and, all that stuff.
I mean, but even beyond vintage computing, I wish this guy was a little more detailed. I wonder if he's just getting like modern appliances.
Right.
I don't really remember that interview, but I wonder if it's a guy who would also get like a washing machines and dryers and just like, pulling parts out and selling parts.
Look, I absolutely love parting out machines. I'm about to part out our coffee maker. Coffee maker number 2 getting parted out.
Super automatic coffee maker.
Oh my God. Because it's so hard to find parts for things sometimes. Remember I parted out that dehumidifier? Yep. I sold so many parts because someone's like, I just need this thing and then my thing will be fine.
Yep.
I think it's a great business model. I absolutely love it.
I know there was a guy in the forum that came on probably a couple months ago. I wish I could hear an update from him. So he worked at an office.
Yeah.
And they, I guess, went through a lot of computers because he even showed a picture of where they keep all the junk computers, and they like
it was
hire, they pay somebody to come and take them away, a recycler, I guess. And for some reason, the recycler wasn't going to do that or something. So he volunteered, can I just start taking this stuff?
Right.
And I guess his boss was like, yeah, save us money. But it was a lot of stuff.
He had to like store it.
So him and I think it was his brother teamed up.
Yeah.
He had to get a storage, and then they were taking computer bits apart, selling like the motherboard and
selling the valuable
this
parts.
kind of stuff. And I'd like to hear if that has turned successful for him or not.
If he continued it.
I mean, the thing is, it takes time.
Yeah.
So if this guy's selling $1,000 of parts, that's amazing.
Time.
It takes space. Yeah. So, you got to have a big enough space to, you got to have the tools, you have to have the knowledge. You have to test some of this stuff or feel pretty confident that the stuff you're pulling out is going to work.
And you have to research the part, because if you're like, look, for me, I will go on, repairclinic.com or whatever, and I'm like, oh, this is the such and such fan. Because if you don't know what it's called, you don't have enough knowledge to put it on eBay for someone else to find it. Yeah. So it's a whole, like learning curve.
But that guy that called, thank you for calling. But that's a good example of like someone's like, I didn't know anything about this stuff.
And then I started doing it.
I learned, and then I just started doing it. And I'm sure it took a lot of work to get to where he is now. But, good for him,
I just love that someone would hear an idea like that and think it's interesting and not just be like, oh, that's a cool idea. The end. Right. He's like, that's a cool idea. And I could totally get into that and like make a living doing that. It's incredible. Thanks for calling.
Yep.
Hey guys, my name is Chris. I love the show. I was just calling to ask what your thoughts were on small items that you can pick up at, say, Goodwill or garage sales that sell pretty well. The reason why I ask is I live full-time in my RV, so obviously space is limited, but I do have the ability to travel around to different parts of the country, pick up specific items. So far, I've done pretty well with video games. They're in their case, they store really well, but just wanted to know if you have any small items that really work well for you. And in terms of a rare, odd item that I found that I flipped, excuse me, this was before eBay, but I actually found a 1985 SVO Mustang in a scrapyard. And it's a rare 4-cylinder turbo. The people that own the junkyard really didn't know what it was. I bought it from them for $300, had a truck drop it off at my house, and I slowly parted it out. Just to give you some context, I sold the right passenger side turn signal amber for $355 on eBay. That kind of started me on eBay. And after it's all said and done, I parted out the whole car for about $3,000 total profit, maybe a little bit less, but I took that money and went to Europe. So once again, I appreciate the show. I hope you guys are doing well and can't wait to listen to more.
Cool. Yeah, that's, he found a sleeper.
That's a sleeper.
He found that car, and he had the knowledge, and he obviously had the tools and the space to do that, parting stuff out.
And the passion to do it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's a great find. In terms of small stuff, ties, men's ties. No, you can sell men's ties.
I don't know. Look, this is a very popular topic, and I don't know if there's an easy answer, because a lot of people are like that. They're like, I'm a snowbird, and I go back and forth between
my
Florida,
mom's having the same conversation.
Yeah. Other than having 2 stores and turning one off in different places, like, how can I keep my everything in one thing? And, it's like jewelry,
watches,
scarves, and video games. I don't know.
I think it's a hard conversation to have, because for us, very personally, what works for us is it doesn't matter what it is.
Well, look,
I will grab anything.
Yeah. But think about it. If something's small, it's oftentimes not going to be very expensive, unless it's like
silver,
gold, or silver, some kind of expensive, or it's like an electronic, like a phone or a video game, or it's like a designer, like a tie, like it's designer. So that's a problem.
It's harder to find
and
those things.
If something's small and valuable, it means it's really sought after, and it's not going to be lying around. The good thing for us with bigger things is they're big.
Nobody else wants
People
them.
don't want the stuff.
They don't want to store it. They don't want to ship it.
It's bulky, right? all those things. So that's why the bigger is easier to find and to sell.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, if you're traveling around, one thing I always enjoy doing, or we do, because we're always together, is we go to auctions in different towns.
I do like doing
We
that.
haven't done that in a while because it just hasn't happened. But I love going to like a new town or city. You go on auctionzip.com.
Yeah.
Just put where you are, and there'll be probably an auction. And you go there, and you meet local people.
It's great.
You kind of get the local scene.
They're kind of like, who's this person?
And
It's great.
they'll often have boxes of smalls that they'll sell off with like lighters and little trinkets, and unless there's something valuable in there, you can get the box for $30 or something. So that's kind of what I would probably do. But you could become one of those guys who's really into like silver, and
I just thought of something that's easy to store and can be pretty small is ephemera.
Yeah.
Paper ephemera, postcards.
Yeah.
You could get you could get into like very particular ones, like a lot of postcard sellers that I know. They have everything. But if you were like super specialized and like really passionate about certain things, I don't know. Look at flea markets. There are dudes with like massive amounts of postcards.
Yeah. I think ephemera is tough just because postcards don't sell for a whole lot. So.
No, they don't. But they're small. They're really small.
Yeah. It's tough. Small but valuable.
Yeah.
It's kind of the sweet spot.
Yep.
And wouldn't we all just love to sell like
out of
little
a bin.
tiny gold nuggets?
Just gold bars. They fit in a suitcase.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's it for calls. Thanks for calling.
Okay, thank you for hanging out with us this week. We hope we could help you do some work. I hope you've been working.
Are you working?
And not just walking around.
Hey, if you're walking around, you're exercising.
That's right. Yep. You and your sister right now, Ashley, are doing like
an Apple Watch competition.
Yeah, like
she claims that she hit the button by accident. If anyone has an Apple Watch, they know what I'm talking about.
So
I was like, oh, really? I've already closed my exercise ring before
you're the
10 a.m.
competitive person. So, okay.
See us online.
Yeah. You can...
QJ.
I just say this in case somebody stumbled upon this specific episode. So when we talk about our blog, we're at scavengerlife.com, and you can go to our forum there, scavengerlife.com/forum. You can call and leave a question or comment on our voicemail line.
The phone number is 540-407-8486, or you can email us an audio file, as you heard, thescavengerlife@gmail.com.
We like to keep calls short, 2 minutes or less.
Keep it short and sweet.
If you'd like to call and tell us your story, that'd be great. I mean, I just love for other people to hear about,
What are you up to?
Yeah, did you find a shortcut?
Did you find
getting rich? How do you get rich without any work at all? Tell us.
Please tell us, please.
We have our podcasts are on our site. You can hear them all for free. Yeah. You can subscribe to iTunes, and it gets on your little iPod or wherever, and on Shopify. No, Spotify.
Spotify.
Our stuff is also on YouTube as well, and we do have ads there. And we had like 5 people complain on the episode a week ago. They were like,
"There's so many ads on here.
So many ads." And look, we didn't do anything different. I think
YouTube changed something in their algorithm.
So we thank people for saying that. We went and took all the ads out that's in the
middle. A
middle part. So,
I hope I did that. So please tell me, because YouTube likes to just change things randomly and like not make it obvious. Yeah. So I totally did not mean to do that. Yeah, so I hope I fixed it.
Look, I don't love ads, but it gives us a little bit of money to help us pay for just kind of
server costs.
Yeah. So there's that. You can subscribe to us through those things. Anything else? Oh, if you like coffee, buy it from our friends who are soon to be our partners at broadporch.coffee. There's a coffee code SL10 that ends at the end of July.
So soon.
10% off. And
I have been enjoying the Costa Rican.
Yeah. Good.
That's what we're drinking right now, and it's very good.
Very chocolatey.
It's very, very good.
Coffee.
Go order coffee.
I love the Ethiopian, but only do it if you know coffee and you know it's got that sweet kind of like orange juice, light roast. It's good if you're into that. Okay, this podcast is ending in
3, 2, 1, bye.